Action. Storytales. 6 disenchanting stories inspired by true events by Somerset Easterday, who is Petey Hixson. This is the unrevised beginning to my story at Templin House and beyond. They had me sent away because I was a bad kid, because I was a misguided, irreverent, sarcastic risque, and the problem never arose out of me not actually being any one of, plus a myriad of other unacceptably crummy adjectives. The meat of my story's problem arises out of the fact that my parents were bought, meaning their fear for me was bought by a max corporation of essentially money-mongering, thieving bullshit artists and their hefty bags of unconscionable chicanery. To the northern woods of Idaho was I sent, very far from any real measure of society that wasn't the occasional soul bear pelt hunter and backwoods farmer of methamphetamine. This is the story of one such occasion of misadventure that I got myself into up in those mountains, directly to the north of the main school gathering hall, called the House. Was a huge mountain with a formidably rocky face called Clifty Mountain. Spreading around and just below the straight sloping cliffs of this mountain peak there was a large tree farm belonging to a man whose name I'd been warned about by some of the staff at the school. I knew it as Farnsworth, and they were always warning me about how Farnsworth was likely to shoot me on the spot if he caught me traipsing on his land, this being something I did quite often and without remorse. I had fallen in love so desperately with a skinny, pale, dark-haired, brooding, oftentimes sad little girl up there at the school, not because I felt sorry for her either. On the contrary, I thought she had a most gloriously artful mind and a beautifully, beautifully crass, acerbic, and fiery, to be on-point sense of humor. With deep, dark eyes, my love spoke with a soft, harp-like angel's voice. Roseanne had very long fingers, bony sticks of vanilla, I used to call them in my head. With these, she was constantly sketching beautiful portraits of me playing my guitar. That is, when we weren't on bands, which was rare. The school had in place a state of being where you were not permitted to speak to, much less look at, or even be around another person. This is called being on bands. And it was most often something you were placed on from the person whom you had a crush, or your most significant friends. You were never placed on bands from anyone you did not like. No, your enemies were free to pick on you and harass you. Come to think of it, all manner of conflict was always permitted in that house zone, which brings me to my serious attempt at running away from this so-called school. I wrote a story about it then, and is the following one, at Templin House and beyond.